for remote hearings before we invite members to elect a chair. So I'll just go through the protocol for remote meetings. Only speak when invited to by the chair. If you wish to speak, please raise your hand and direct all communication via the chair. Will everyone please ensure that their mics are muted when they are not speaking, apart from the chair? If you're having any technical difficulties, please use the chat function in Google Meet only to alert the meeting, and you can dial in with the phone number and PIN that I've provided. Please do not use the chat function for putting formal questions to the subcommittee or to make comments. Any persistent disruptive behaviour will result in removal from the meeting. Applicants and all other parties will be asked to leave the proceedings after their item is concluded. Once all applications have been considered, any remaining parties will be asked to log out of the hearing. Please do so promptly. Each party will be notified of the decision within 5 working days. If I can go to the first item on the agenda, can we elect a chair, please?
Can I propose Councillor Smith, please?
Thank you very much. Councillor Conway, happy with that?
I'm happy with that. Second that, yeah. Excellent.
Fantastic. Okay, so I suggest we welcome everyone to Licensing Subcommittee, Tuesday the 5th of July, 2 o'clock, 2022. I think we should just very quickly go around and introduce ourselves in general. So I'm Councillor Smith, Stoke Newington Ward, Chair of Licensing. Councillor Rout?
I'm Councillor Penny Root. I'm represent Victoria Ward.
Councillor Conway?
Hi, I'm Councillor Conway. I'm a councillor in Hackney Central.
And Suba?
I'm Subhash Reid. I'm now Principal Licensing Officer.
Thank you. Amanda?
Hello, good afternoon. I'm a solicitor supporting members this afternoon. Thank you. From Legal
Rabia?
Services.
Rabia?
My name's Rabia and I'm the Governance Service Officer.
And David? David Chewett.
Good afternoon, I'm David Chewett. I'm here on behalf of the Licensing Authority today.
Okay, and I think I've got PC Ryan, Kerry.
Yes, good afternoon. I'm Police Licensing Officer.
Fantastic. I can see Graham. Is that Graham Hopkins? You're on mute. You're on mute, Graham. You're on mute. Anyway, let's move on. I presume the phone number is that Julian Izu?
That's you, Paul. Go on.
Paul Charters, Copper Street Cafe.
Okay. So let's just talk about. I think we'll stop the introductions there. You've got the main ones, and then we'll sort of introduce, because there's quite a lot of people on this call. We'll introduce the people that are relevant to each hearing. We've done the first stage, which is election of chair. So welcome everyone. No apologies for absence, I don't believe. Any declarations of interest at all from members?
I have a declaration. So as I'm the councillor for Hackney Central Ward, I am going to be sitting out for the final item, licence for PFC, which is in my ward, Hackney Central.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much. And minutes of previous meeting, I don't believe there are any minutes, not that I've seen. Is that correct? Suba, can you just confirm that?
Sorry, you mean Rabia? No, there aren't any minutes.
Oh, cool. Right. Okay, brilliant. So I'll take you through the hearing procedure now. So step 1 is appointment of chair. Step 2 is where the licensing officer will outline the report for each independent case. Step 3, the applicant will present their case in support of their application. Each one of these is 5 minutes, by the way, folks, and I'll try and be as strict with the timings. Step 4, responsible authorities come in to highlight their reasons for objecting to the application as contained within the report. Step 5 is other persons, again 5 minutes each. They will come in to highlighting their reasons for objection. Step 6 is a discussion, which is, we've got 15 minutes for that. And then closing remarks, step 7, any clarification, step 8, at which point, if there's no further business at that point, we will ask the relevant individuals who attended, the participants, to leave for that particular hearing. So is that clear enough for everybody? Just to make sure that everybody knows kind of what's happening. Okay, so I think we shall move on to the first one. Did I hear someone wanted to speak? No? So we're going to talk about the Copper Street Cafe. So of those people that are here for that one, could you just make yourselves known so I know who I'm talking to? So on your screen, the person with the glasses there with your hand up, it says Gillian, but that's actually Graham. Yeah? Yeah, you're on mute.
It's sorry, it's Paul Charters.
Paul Charters.
It's on my computer.
Oh, okay. All right. that's good to know. And anybody else on the call? We've got Kerry Ryan on the call for this one. Anybody else relevant to this one? Is that it? Okay, so if I could call the licensing officer, please, to outline the report. Thank you.
Sorry, Chair, I would like to notice that we got C1 and C2 in this call as well for the first item.
C1 and C2, so that's Andrea. Is that right? Andrea and Benson. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah, it is correct.
Andrea and Benson. Right. Okay. Thank you very much for that. Just to underline you. Those are the only ones from the other persons, Sue. Is that right?
That's right, Chair.
Yeah. Brilliant. Excellent. Okay. So I think we're kind of there. So I've got Andrea. I'm just writing these down. And Benson. Okay. Okay. So if the licensing officer could please outline the report, that'd be great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. Licensing service are receipt of an application for a premises license under Section 17 of the Licensing Act 2003 for the Copper Street Cafe, Copper Street, to authorize the supply of alcohol for consumption on and off the premises. We have representations remain from the police and from the other persons. I have nothing else to add. Thank you, Chair. Okay,
fantastic. Thank you very much. And if the applicant would like to come forward, I presume that's you, Paul.
Yeah. Hi.
Paul, you have 5 minutes to outline your case, and just to start with, if you would just indicate exactly where this is, this place, that would be useful as well, I think.
It's at Hackney Wick. It's in between the River Lee and the Lee Canal, opposite the Copper Box Arena. That's where we are. It's just a shell unit at the moment, which we're in the process of making into a cafe, which will be predominantly selling food. Alcohol will be secondary, and we just feel like we need to have an alcohol license because everywhere around us has an alcohol license, and we believe we'd be at an unfair advantage if we didn't have the license. We reached out to the local community. We asked them to come to a meeting at 10 a.m. on Sunday a few weeks back to address any concerns they had. The email was sent out by the landlord to all the residents at Eastwick, but nobody came to the meeting, which was a shame because we'd have liked to have met up with some of the local community. That's pretty much it. You know, there's not too much. I mean, obviously we're open to questions, but I used to run a business. My last business was a cemetery. I had a cafe in a cemetery, and part of that was a wake catering service. In the 5 years we was there, we carried out over 400 wakes, many of them involving alcohol, without incident. And that's pretty much where we are. Yeah, I don't, obviously any questions.
Yes,
Councillor,
sorry, can I just say something? I mean, it is predominantly our main thing is for food. You know.
sorry, are you coming in on calls?
Yeah.
Sorry, this is my wife. She's been doing the correspondence.
Am I allowed to? I mean, I just want to say what we're actually about. You know, we up and foremost, we want to make a kind of upmarket cafe there. Maybe go into a restaurant theme at night. We're going to have a different vibe over there. We're not like Hackney Bridge or along the canal. It will be a different type of healthy food and everything. But we just want to be able to have the option of serving your glass of wine with our meals, etc. And as stated in our letter, this won't be before midday. They won't be served off the premises unless it's a takeaway like Deliveroo or anything like that. And all our staff will be well vested in all the alcohol laws and over 25, etc. So I think the residents are really worried about because of what's happening with Hackney Bridge and these bottomless brunch and etc. We're surrounded by areas like that. Even the marketing suite in the Clarnico sells alcohol as well. So we just, you know, feel that we're going to be at a real unfair advantage.
Okay, so any just a very brief point of clarification for either Councillor Root or Councillor Conway.
I've got a couple of quick questions which are sort of clarification really. The first one is, whilst I can see that the cafe is an empty shell, what's the kind of surrounding area like? Does it have flats above it? You know, how close are the properties?
Sorry to Wayne. We're part of the Eastwick community. I don't know if anyone's familiar with Eastwick, Hackney Wick, but we're part of the community. There's 14 commercial units there. None of them are open at present, but there is going to be a co-op there. There's apparently going to be a microbrewery, and there's also one cafe that has got alcohol in it at the moment, which is the Clarnico. So that's the setup.
Okay, so there's no flats above you directly or anything?
I know there is, yeah, we're part of the community. There's 3 flats above, yeah.
Okay.
All the 14 units have got flats above.
Okay.
All of them, yeah. They're not free, you know, it's not freestanding.
Yeah, yeah. The other question was, if, as you say, you want to be primarily a cafe, I just wondered why you want the licensing alcohol hours quite so late.
Well, why we've done that is because when we are a new business, as I say, and it's going to be, they're all new businesses there. I thought rather to put in for 11 p.m. at the start, rather than in a year's time, it's sort of obviously built up into a cafe stroke restaurant of an evening, then have to go back to apply again. You know, that was the reason. I mean, if you know that. I don't know how hard it is or how much it takes to change something from 7 to 11. So I thought go for 11 from the start. But we won't be open to 11 when we start off.
Okay, so something you might like to think about as we go forward is if you actually need it until 11 at this point, and if you want to have good relations with your neighbours, then maybe you might think about adjusting that timing. That's just a thought.
Yeah, I mean, when I look at Hackney Bridge, you Google all along there, a lot of them have got 2 p.m. licences at the weekend. Some of them are trying to get even later. So I thought 11 p.m. was more than fair.
Okay, well, we'll come back to it as a discussion. It was just a question about why, really. So that's answered that. Thank you.
Councillor Conway, anything from you at this stage?
Not at this stage, thank you, Chair.
I just wanted to clarify one thing with the lawyer, our legal representative from the council, Amanda. On the application, he's put down Redbridge as the borough. Does that affect things for us or not?
No, because I think obviously maybe it's a boundary issue, you know, rather than, you know, because obviously they've made the application in the correct, the licensing service would not have put it forward to this committee if it wasn't part of their jurisdiction.
Okay.
So
I just wanted to check that point.
It may be close to the Redbridge boundary.
'Cause
I don't think it is, but I just wonder if maybe the applicant lives in Redbridge, if that's where the errors come from.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that, you know, because we're obviously dealing with something that's
I
in
think
front of us,
Suba
and
wanted
on the
to say
papers it
something.
says Redbridge, and we're not Redbridge, we're Hackney. But anyway,
Yes.
we know it's a mistake, so that's okay. Right.
Suba wanted to say something.
Oh, sorry, Sue, I didn't see you.
Sorry, Chad, that's the details of the designated premises supervisor who holds a personal license, and it's just their information to say where they hold their personal license for.
Oh, okay.
So that's not quite.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Thank you very much. Okay, so I think we shall move on then to the responsible authority. So PC Ryan, you've got 5 minutes.
Good afternoon. Thank you. I did actually send some correspondence a couple of weeks ago, but unfortunately I still found that in my outbox this morning. But basically our concerns lie around the increase in ASB in Hackney Wick that we've seen over the last few weeks. And because the premises describes itself as a cafe, we did wonder about the hours and the requirement for off sales. Considering the area that people will be walking into with possibly a bottle in their hand. However, in my proposed conditions, if they're agreeable to the applicant, I have included an ancillary condition which would allay some of our concerns in relation to on sales and the hours. I would also like to see a 30-minute reduction in on sales, just to give the customers some drinking up time so they're not able to order a drink right up until closing. And there's not really too much more for us to add. We would ask for a maximum of 3 smokers outside. In my condition 12, there hasn't actually been a number inserted in there. But if the applicant is agreeable to all the conditions, we propose that off sales be removed. Then that's all we ask at the moment. Thank you, Chair.
Sorry, PC Ryan, whereabouts is that in? You just want the off sales removed completely? It's not relevant to the conditions. You just want that taken out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So I was just wondering, like, because we've been told that we most probably will do a lot of Deliveroo / Uber. Whatever, you know, with the deliveries, as I say, it's a new business, but will people, won't they be able to order a drink with their food then to take away? You know, if someone wanted a bottle of wine with a takeaway meal to be delivered, is that not allowed?
Well, we can sort of come on to that, because you have said that you've actually written this in your letter, that no alcohol will be sold for taking off the premises unless it is sold as part of a home delivery service.
Yeah.
That is a condition that I would that be acceptable for you, PC Ryan, if they were to have that as a condition?
Yes, that would be acceptable.
And Paul, would you be willing to accept that as a condition? You would. Fantastic. Well, that solves a lot of problems. Right. Okay, so let's move on then to the other persons, and I will call next Andrea.
Hi.
Hi there.
Hi, Nathan. So
you've got 5 minutes.
Yeah, I'm one of the residents. So basically, our first concern is, first of all, so I wanted to reply to the smoking thing, because in the area here in the state, it's not allowed to smoke anywhere. Right. So I don't know where the 3 smokers outside is coming from, but in the state, in everywhere is written in the state, it's not allowed to smoke. No one. You're not allowed to smoke.
In the park.
Yeah. In the state, so the road here, where the pub will be, the cafe will be, they are not allowed to smoke. They would be able to smoke if they cross the road and they would go on the Copper Box footpath, for example. If they go close to the Copper Box, they are allowed to smoke there. But on the estate, it's not allowed anywhere.
Andrea, can I just stop you there just for 1 second?
Yeah.
Suba, would you mind, if you can, I know it might be difficult, but could you, is there any way you can check that? I don't know how, but just have a think about it. Okay, continue, Andrea.
She can come over and take a picture in the entrance of one of the buildings. There are signs where it's written that it's not allowed to smoke anywhere in the estate, not in the buildings.
Okay, well, let's move off that one then.
Yeah. So it's a pretty big one, because there are people living on the first floor, not us. We are living on the fourth, but there are people living on the first floor that would then have smokers. So it's not something that we would like to have in the building. So something else that worried us about the alcohol is the kind of customers they were having when they were Poppy Pantry. So they were having kind of customers that they don't fit much in the area actually. So I don't know if you check their Instagram page, but it's they were inviting people from the West Ham Stadium to go and party there. They were having English flags and poppies and everything. It was very British and anti-multicultural. That's not something that we in Hackney Week like very much. As you, Paul, that kind of expression is confirming my actually what I think. So this is the kind of customers we don't want here in the area. So if they drink as well, just like all the West Hams, every time there is the West Ham playing at the stadium, we have the drunk people from the stadium going to the Hackney Week overground station, passing by, and they leave a mess, just passing by. Imagine if they are invited to drink alcohol in the premises on the estate. That's what we are afraid of. We're afraid of people because we saw them, sorry for the term, pissing on our building. So the cafe will be in the corner between our entrance and the bike storage entrance, for example. So having possibly drunk people from the stadium, having another drink in this cafe below our building is not something that we would like.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we have thought about that, and I think the police have thought about that, and there are certain suggested conditions in place that could cover that off. But have you finished now, Andrea? Because shall I move on to Benson?
Yeah. Good.
Thank you for that, Andrea. Thank you very much. Benson, please.
Hi. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Hi. I'm Benson, resident of Eastwick. So basically, the just want to add some point to the location of the cafe. So it is directly below apartment flats. Within the apartment above the cafe is right above, less than a meter. So, and surrounding the cafe is all residential area. And also there is a children's playground close to, and there is a primary school close to the cafe as well. So just want to add to the point. So there are a lot of kids, children playing around in the area. And also we have mentioned about Hackney Bridge before. I just want to add to points that they do sell alcohol, and it's already causing a lot of public nuisance to the residents around the area. So I don't think it's a point about fairness. I think it's a point about how do we prevent public nuisance from worsening as well. So they do sell alcohol to late night, but they have a security guard at the premises to try to I would say maintain security, to maintain safety for the people in the area. But public nuisance is still happening. Antisocial behavior is still happening at that point. And also we mentioned about a cafe in other business unit as well, the Chronicle. I don't know where that they sell alcohol, but one point I'd like to add is that they do close at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. They don't open till 11 at night. Okay, so I just want to make some point clear. And my major concern as a resident is because our proximity to West Ham Stadium and the road outside the cafe, Copper Street Cafe is basically a main path for football supporter to go to the stadium from the overground station. So it is very crowded. Very people will walk past this path during match day or any event day. So I'm just want to express my concern about if there is a venue selling alcohol, no matter on and off premises, it will add to the risk of safety in the area when people are drunk and when there are a lot of people in the area. So the Westfield Shopping Center is close to the stadium as well, but on event day, they have a large amount of police presence and security presence to manage order. But however, in this small street next to the cafe and next to our residential area, there won't be, so far in the past year, when I live here, there is no police or security managing security in the same level as Westfield Shopping Center or the IQL, International Quarter London. So I just want to express my concern about if there is a cafe selling alcohol from midday, so far, as far as I know, from midday till late night. I just want to express the concern for safety for people, for drunk people wandering around the area, the risk to the public, the risk to the resident, and the risk to the children in the area as well, especially with the close proximity to a lot of residential area, a primary school, and also a children's playground close to as well. And that's all the point I would like to add. Thank you very much for listening.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you for that. I suggest that unless we've got some very brief points of clarification, we move straight into the discussion phase. And Paul, I can see you there. I'll bring you in a second. But first of all, I'd like to go to Councillor Root and Councillor Conway, just to open up the conversation with any points of clarification or questions you may have.
Can I go first? Sorry, I haven't got a facility to put my virtual hand up, so.
No, that's fine.
Okay, thank you. I suppose a couple of things. It would be very useful to know about the non-smoking thing and to hear whether or not Mr. Charters is willing to basically say no, absolutely no smoking outside. I'm not quite sure. There's no smoking inside anyway, presumably. So would you be willing to adopt a non-smoking altogether policy?
As a non-smoker myself, I would direct them across the road towards the copper box. Yeah, I've got no problem with that at all. I would most probably have done that even without this matter arising. And can I continue or just?
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
On the issue of of the partisan nature of sports fans, I think Andrea may just have to live with the fact that to some extent, if you're living in an area where there are a lot of sports facilities, you're going to have people who are coming to support particular teams. And that may sometimes seem a bit less, I don't know, a bit less all-embracing perhaps than perhaps in normal life. But that said, I still think for you, Mr. Charters, there is a question about how do you plan to handle the fans on match days in particular, because clearly that is something of an issue. And what proposals have you got? Are you planning to close on match days, for instance, like some of the places do in Westfield, or what if you're not going to? How are you going to handle that? And one other question, which I just put in now, which is that in your statement that you made to local people, you said that your hospitality offer was going to be different to the offer that's on offer elsewhere in Hackney Wick, and that you very much want it to be a cafe rather than a restaurant or a bar. And I just wonder if you could spell out to us a bit more what is going to be so unique about your cafe that's not available elsewhere, and as such, why do you still need these late licensing hours?
Well, what it is I first looked at this premises 10 months ago, and since then I've been monitoring closely at Hackney Wick how things work, the late night stare, the bottomless brunches that they offer, and all that sort of thing. And that doesn't appeal to me at all anyway. That's not something that we would be doing. We wouldn't be doing any sort of promotions or anything like that. It would simply be hamburger, chips, and a lager or something like that. You know, yeah, it's not. We're not going to be. We're not trying to be like the Hackney Wick vibe. And also, just to our right on is it East, not East Village,
Sweetwater.
no, anyway, just right there, where they've got all the food in the sort of the containers and that. Yeah, they've Hackney Bridge. Hackney Bridge was what I was looking for. Yeah, that's where all the sort of promotions go on and all that sort of thing, which is fine. That's got nothing to do with me. But I also know that is not the road we're going to go down at all, you know. And it was when we opened originally, because we're a totally new business in a new area, you know, we don't even know whether we're going to open at 7 in the morning or 8 in the morning. We will initially close at 4 or 5 o'clock, depending on trade. But as I said before, it was that thing of having that option that if it does turn into a sort of bistro, that if people are still eating at 7, 8 at night, they will want a glass of wine with their meal. And if we can't offer that, our business will suffer. And at this, you know, the way that climate is at the moment in business, we do need to survive, you know. That's pretty much it.
Okay. Does that answer your questions, Councillor Root?
I think it does pretty much. I mean, I think one thing that perhaps Mr. Charters needs to bear in mind is that he's getting a license for this premise, and you know, he can close his business and the license will still be there for this premise. And one of the things that we have to bear in mind as the licensing committee is that the next people who take on the business may not be quite so hostile to the idea of the Hackney Bridge type environment as you are. So we have to be careful about about the kinds of permissions we give you. And if you're asking for permissions that you don't actually need for the kind of business that you want to run, that seems a bit peculiar, and you might be tying one arm behind your back. That's the only observation I'd make.
Can I speak?
Yep, yeah, you can come in very briefly.
Yeah, just it's a 15-year lease. I'm 54 in 3 weeks' time, and I have no intention of ever. You know, we hope to be around there when I'm 69 years of age. So there shouldn't be an issue in the foreseeable future with somebody taking it over and turning it into a rowdy place. Well, you know.
And sorry, may I just say, because we originally was going to open it as a cafe stroke deli, but we were trying to get our head around the deli side, and we've been around the area and looked around. There are a few delis around, and we've got a chef who's going to advise us, who works for a really top company, and we're going to go for really healthy food, salad bowls, juices for people when they come out the gym. We want the mums to embrace us when they leave the school and come round. And also the children with ice cream. It's going to be very family orientated. And, you know, our vision is that maybe we will start, if we're very popular, we will stay on a bit later at night. But the word cafe is really wrong. We kind of need to get the right title for we don't want to say restaurant, because it is almost going to be on the verge of a restaurant. It's going to be a higher class. It's going to be a bit different from the Hackney Wick vibe. But we're still going to embrace all cultures, everything and anything, and we love the vibe around there, so that's not an issue. We just want to go up a little market.
It's not in my interest to have drunken football supporters in my cafe, so I will do my utmost to discourage that, because I know that brings problems. That's problems I don't want to bring to Hackney Council, and I don't want to bring to myself either, to tell the truth, you know.
Okay, thank you for that. Councillor Conway.
Thank you, Chair. Just had a couple of questions, really. I suppose it feels as though you're still a bit unclear about exactly what it is that you're delivering, because one of you mentioned beer, chips and a burger, and then we've also heard about really healthy food, salads and juices. And arguably, in my head, I'm thinking about the type of people that I think we've heard from residents that they're concerned about is people who are out and getting progressively drunk of an evening, and the type of place that they might like to sort of drop into to have another drink and to sort of refuel. And I suppose maybe so just trying to clarify, because I think that the whole beer and burger and chips thing sounds a bit more like it might be up some of their football supporters who might be and this is not saying anything about football supporters, it's about anybody who's in the vicinity, who's getting progressively more, who's been drinking throughout the day and just has somewhere else to stop off to. But also, I suppose, I wanted to know what would be the distinction between you and the other places that the residents have said, and also I think the police have said have been causing some concern in terms of antisocial behaviour. Because I know the place, I know that strip well, and I know that there are a couple of places that sell, you know, that do burgers and chips and beers. So what, if you're opening until a similarly late time, what would the distinction be? My last question is, how would you feel about a condition that said that you had to close or stop serving alcohol at much earlier, so say 7, for example, so that you have an opportunity at least then to show the local residents what, you know, what you're like as a licensed, you know, premises, and how you're able to manage, you know, the people getting, you know, inebriated on your premises.
Okay, well, as we said before, the difference to it with us and Hackney Bridge sort of area, and that is the fact that I see that it's all as much as you can eat and drink for £40, 2-for-1 offers. We won't be doing any as much as you can eat and drinks. We won't be doing any 2-for-1 offers or anything like that. It's just, we're a new business with a massive outlay here financially, and we need to know that we've got a chance to get back. We don't want to be closed and gone bankrupt in a couple of years' time. So we need the options that if we do open later, we need to be able to attract people. People won't come into us if we're open till 10 serving whatever food if they can't get a glass of wine with that food. They will go all along Hackney Bridge, and we will suffer as a consequence.
And I think as well, the menu, because also, I don't know, you said you're familiar with the area. There's going to be a lot more flats being built, literally opposite where the Clarnico Club is. Phase 2. Now, there's a lot of builders as well. Now, we've got a specialised menu in mind, which is a bit more upper class, if you like. It's a bit more refined type menu. But obviously, we want to cater for the builders as well. That's why we're unsure. We're going to have to do, with builders come in and they're hungry and they want a breakfast or a menu, we want to be able to cater for them as well. Similarly, if we don't really, West Ham supporters won't be passing by and going into us and getting a drink. They will come in and sit down, whether it's after the game. We have friends who all go out together. They're very, you know, they support West Ham and that's it, but they all go out afterwards and have a meal and a drink.
Yeah, these are families.
They're families with their children and everything.
And they will be in there. We won't, when our friends come over with their children, we won't want people in there. I don't want drunken football supporters.
I mean, as well, they won't be able to, you know, they won't be able to, the wine we sell will be nice wine. They won't be able to come in and drink bottles and bottles of wine. And they can go to the local co-op and get tins of wine. And I'd be more worried about, you know, tins of wine, bottles of wine. I'd be more worried about the co-op. Anyone can walk in there over a certain age and take what they like out on the street. They're not going to be able to. They're not going to be able to come into ours and go over the park with it. They're going to have to probably sit down to a nice meal and have a drink.
Yep.
Not about the alcohol.
One of those conditions that the police recommended was condition 9 on page 48, which says all supply of alcohol for consumption on the premises shall be to seated customers.
Yes.
Who are having a substantial meal from the menu. Yeah. So that means that people wouldn't be able to come in and just buy booze and go off and drink it on the street. Because you've also agreed, Paul, to the other condition we mentioned about the home delivery service, right? So the 2 major conditions there that would basically pin you down to table meals and alcohol, and that's it. And then as part of a home delivery service, you would, you know, just to say it again, no alcohol will be sold for taking off the premises unless it is sold as part of a home delivery service.
Yes.
That means that somebody coming in off the street just can't buy a bottle of beer and walk off with it. Right? So if you're willing to accept those 2 conditions, they're quite critical. But I would also like to just talk about very briefly, if that's okay, Councillor. Sorry, I butted in, Councillor Conway. Were you satisfied with that answer? Sorry, I was just.
Yes, thank you.
I was brain streaming kind of thing. So the police have also asked, you know, you mentioned a little bit of experience of your experience with the DPS. Could you just give us another minute on that? That would be good. And then just about the outside area, we have discussed the smoking situation, that you'll ask them to go across the road. But you said also in your application that there's no forecourt there, because the police wanted to know, is there an outside area that will be utilised or not? So if you just tell us about that.
There's nothing within our lease.
And then, you know, how many people would you have seated in the outside area if you were going to do that, if you could do that? And what alcoholic drinks were you thinking of selling?
Alcoholic drinks we're thinking of selling is just like one high-class lager, gins, maybe gin and obviously gin and tonic fits with the park vibe, and wine. We wouldn't have an extensive menu of alcohol.
Okay. And just speak a bit about the outside area and then a little bit about your experience.
Within the lease, there is no outside area here. And also with the smoking, I would tell them, which obviously I didn't know, but it doesn't matter. I didn't know that there's no smoking allowed on the in East Wick at all. So I would just tell them, this is private land. There's no smoking here. You have to cross the road into, which is actually Newham.
Yeah. Amanda, can I just ask if we can condition something like that? Is that possible?
If it's in another borough, I don't think we can, because you know, it's not in our jurisdiction. So
right.
You know, it'll be difficult for us to do that. All we can do is say how many smokers they're allowed to have outside.
Right. Okay, but we don't want them anyway. Right. Okay.
It won't be enforceable. It won't be enforceable.
Just about your experience, Paul, just very briefly.
Oh yeah. We used to, as I say, we've done up to 400 wakes, and off the top of my head, at least 200 of those involved alcohol, up to 100 people, and we policed it pretty well. You know, sometimes wakes can be quite sensitive. You did get people who did get quite inebriated there, but we managed to always pass it off without incident. You know.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you for that. And then Andrea, you wanted to come in. You had your hand up.
Yeah, well, just to clarify a few things regarding the area, actually.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, Hackney Week and the 90s, the other Hackney Bridge and the other pubs and restaurants across the canal, basically, they offer different kind of food. So they're talking about differentiating from Hackney Bridge. Hackney Bridge will be there for only other 6 years. So they might not extend their lease, but they will be still facing the Grow, the 90. They are very well, the Crate. They are very well known and established restaurants and pubs that they offer very extensive range of food. From the Grow is called Grow because they basically everything is organic. They cook everything there, and they have very special organic meals and whatever, fresh smoothies, something like this. And it's always full of people. It's not only the alcohol, but just people go there during the day to enjoy these things, same as the 90s. Or Hackney Bridge is not only bottomless branches, actually. So the noise is something else. You refer to the soccer people and the other sports events. I don't have any issues with sport. I don't have any issue with people passing through. Yesterday, this weekend, when it was this weekend, today is Tuesday. So this weekend, the award eSport something, and there were lots of people down here, and no one created issues. So it's the typical soccer fan, football fan, that it's an issue, because they most of the time drink alcohol in the stadium, comes pass by, they always drink and create issues. And the Hackney Bridge, they have security. They won't allow drunk people from the stadium most of the time to go there and continue drinking. So it's not so. I want to clarify this. That's why we are worried about a cafe owner that previously invited those people, that they deleted even the post from the Instagram page. Actually, I found this very, very worrying, actually.
Yeah. Okay. Paul, I want you to answer that question, by the way, about this event. That would be good. Not now, but just after Amanda. We've had our 15 minutes. We're on 17 minutes, 20 seconds now. So we're kind of we're beyond our time, but let's see if we can get there. Amanda, you're on mute.
Yes, I just wanted to clarify. Although they refer to their experience, how many years, Chair? If you could clarify of experience, or what's the extent of the experience apart from doing
Okay, thank you. Did you hear that, Paul? How many years?
5 years.
Okay, great. And then the event that Andrea was, this event that you invited football fans to or something.
I've got friends and family who follow me on Instagram. They're West Ham supporters, and they can't wait for us to open. They will come over with their children. They're looking forward to it. So I was reaching out to them. We've not got a massive Instagram set up. We don't reach out to 50,000 people or anything like that. So that was what and obviously waiting 10 months to actually get the lease, we was quite excited about it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Paul. So Benson.
Hi. So from what I hear, I can tell you have a very focused kind of a customer. You want family, you want children, you want family-oriented customer. However, in the area, from my experience living here, the majority of people will be that are causing problem will be on event day, on a match day when there are a large amount of football supporter. How would you stop them from coming, having a meal, drink a lot of alcohol, causing problem to the neighborhood, especially when you open to 11? I'm happy that you would like to run a very nice cafe, very upmarket, but I think the food is not the main concern. The upmarket food is not our main concern, but the problem that the risk of the safety, the public nuisance caused by drunk people in aggregating in the area, the effect to the resident is our major concern. So I just wanna say, are you gonna hire security guard outside? Are you gonna stop people from coming into your restaurant? Is it legally binding? How would you execute your plan to run a so-called upmarket, a family-oriented cafe?
Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Benson. Thank you. Okay, Paul.
Right. Okay. I know football supporters. I know how they act. I've been in pubs where they are, and we will not appeal to them in any way, shape, or form. So I will almost try and discourage it, because I'm not in for short-term gain here. Just once they're going to be there average 20, 25 times a year. I don't want to alienate the local community just to make a quick buck on the days West Ham play. I'm not interested. This is a 365 days a year business, and I know that if I upset everybody on a football day, and then on the Monday when there's nothing happening, all the locals don't come down, I won't be open this time next year.
Okay. I think, folks, we should move on if everyone's satisfied with the discussion. I think we've heard, unless Councillor Root and Conway need to ask another question or have a point of clarification you would like to make before we move on to closing remarks.
Sorry, Chair, can I just ask one more question to Kerry? And that was just, Kerry, I wondered if you could say a bit more about the type of issues that you've been experiencing in the Hackney Wick area. And in particular, if you feel that there's anything that the existing license holders in that area are doing or not doing that's sort of promoting that.
I think what we're seeing at the moment is the ASB is on the street outside the premises. They're going to the premises and they're coming out. We're having a real problem with the knock sellers that are targeting people that are coming out of the premises on the streets. And that's happening on the streets all the way around the Wick, both on the Tower Hamlet side and on the Hackney side. And it's a real issue that police are trying to tackle at the moment. And so that's where the ASB that I'm talking about.
Okay.
Thank you.
Does that answer your question, Councillor Conway? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just wanting to get a sense of how another licensed premises in this area could sort of, how you envisage that would add or contribute towards that, or how that could be avoided.
Yeah. Paul, I've seen your hand, but we're going to move on now to closing remarks, so you will get a chance to come back. Is everyone happy to move on? Yeah, just
Can I just, I must admit, I'm slightly concerned about the fact that the business model for this cafe feels a little bit like we're not quite sure exactly what's going to work. So we want to cover our backs by getting a license to do pretty much whatever we want to, just in case that's the direction we have to go in. I would really like to hear Mr. Charters covering off that in his closing remarks, because I want to feel reassured that he's not trying to get a cover-all license in order to bend and flex his business just to make money.
okay. Just keep that one in your head, Paul, for when you come to your closing remarks. Right. So can I ask, please, PC Ryan to come in and just with your closing remarks, and I would ask you to sort of I'd ask you to think about, obviously, it seems that Paul's willing to accept the conditions you've suggested, and the other one that we mentioned about the home delivery service and off sales. I was going, and the issue of the smoking, those three issues. I was going to suggest also how you would feel if we could condition and the applicant was willing to accept this condition of having, you know, an SIA supervisor on the door on match days. So you've got 4 things to think about there.
Thank you. In relation to the off sales being with delivery of a meal, I'm quite happy with that. I think SIA is a good idea. I know that all the other premises in the area do have SIA on match days. And they do use plastics as well on match days. I don't know if that would be an option. What was the other things?
It was the conditions that you drew up that Paul said he would accept, the proposed conditions about substantial table meal and all that kind of stuff, and then the smoking issue in the outdoor space, which he's also addressed. If you just come back.
Yeah, the ancillary condition, if that's agreeable, then that would allay a lot of our concerns. The smoking thing, I'm not really sure how we would tackle that. If there's no smoking, I've tried to Google it and I've tried to find out what the policy is there. I'm not sure you can tell people whether they can or can't smoke. I don't know how that works. If you've got people crossing the road and smoking, obviously we don't want them to be a problem to anybody else. Maybe a condition if people are going to cross the road and smoke. I don't know whether I covered in my conditions that there'd be no glass outside or no. Yeah, I did. So then that wouldn't be a problem because there'd be no drinks or.
Yeah, which condition was that?
That's condition 10. There should be no open containers or drinks.
Oh yeah, I've got it. Yeah, no open containers or drinks taken outside at any time. Doesn't mention glass though.
Well, if there's no drinks, then you won't be able to take a glass.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, cool. Suma, do you want to come in briefly there?
Yes, sure. Just a quick one on the enforcement regarding the smoking. It's going to be down to the estate management. So.
Right. Okay.
That's why.
Right. PC Brown, are you okay? Are you finished with that? Or?
Yes, I'm all done. Thank you, Chair.
Brilliant. Okay, so we'll ask now maybe Andrea to come back, and then Benson, please, just on your closing remarks.
We are very happy to have a cafe, nice place where to sit and spend time, and actually it's something that we would enjoy. So, but at the same time, what we are worried, what actually worried us the most when we saw who was going to take the place was their previous experience with the other cafe and the kind of customers they had. So that what personally worried us the most. So the kind of approach they used to have with those kind of customers, that those are the only ones that actually cause nuisance and everything else. Just like leaving everything. Really, they made a mess while they passed going through the overground. So those are the only days in which we have issues actually.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Andrea. Thank you for coming today. Benson.
Just for closing, just want to say, as a resident at the Eastwick area, there is already a significant antisocial behavior in the area. Residents have made multiple complaints to the council. We try to organize something to solve the problem. So if there is a premises in very close proximity to our residential area, directly under apartment and flat within the residential building, actually, so it just makes us worry about the risk to public safety, the problem of public nuisance causing to the residents in the area when there is an alcohol license lasting until 11 p.m. at night. So I just want to. So the main reason for me to attend the meeting today is just to express my concern as resident. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Benson. Okay, Paul, you want to come back with your closing remarks?
Yeah.
Try and address Councillor Root's question.
Can you remind me of it, please?
Councillor Root, do you want to remind him?
Sorry.
My question really is that I have some concerns that what you're trying to do is to get the license which gives you maximum flexibility, so that you can try various business models if you need to make your business work. We've heard about various different sorts of clientele, the kinds of atmosphere that you want, etc., etc. Most of what we've heard is not, in my mind, compatible with the need for an 11 o'clock license. So I'm concerned that what you're trying to do is to get yourself a really nice, big, broad license, so that if one business model doesn't work, you can switch to plan B, and if plan B is no good, then maybe plan C. So I just want to hear some reassurance around that, really.
Yeah, well, I can understand, totally understand how it seems that way. It's just with us, we're a new business. This is totally new. There's 14 units there. And I should think, I can't speak for them, but I should think everybody's going into this thinking that we may have to adapt to survive, So that's why I said it how I said it. If we try and sell a certain type of food and it doesn't sell, then we'll have to change the food, to survive. And that's why I thought to get the option to obviously have a sort of restaurant hours and to be able to compete, obviously, in that area. We will not be able to compete with the people around us if we cannot offer something that they all offer. That's pretty much how it is.
So there is a degree of flexibility around the model, really.
Yeah.
You need to have that. Just to see how it goes, kind of thing.
Yeah, we're not just saying it. We're quite nervous. We're taking on a 15-year lease at the end of a global pandemic.
Yeah.
With a large financial outlay, and we do have to get that money back. But that doesn't mean that we're going to open to all hours and fill the place with football fans, because we know that won't work. That's not a good business model. We're not silly.
That's not going to be our vibe anyway.
That short-term thing is not good for any business, and for obviously as an owner, that is the last thing. I don't want that. I don't want the aggravation.
Yeah.
And I know that Hackney Council doesn't want the aggravation.
Yeah. Okay, and thank you. And the licensing officer, do you want to come back with any closing remarks at all?
Nothing, Chair.
Can I ask one last question, Mr. Charles? You may have answered this and I might have missed it. I'm sorry. With regard to on match days having a designated security person there, is that something that he would consider doing and would be willing to take on as a condition?
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, without a doubt. I've got no issue with that, and that would make sense. Yeah. I just hope that I get a few people in to cover the person's wages that's on the door. I would feel comfortable with that, and I would work with the police or Hackney Council. I'm not. This isn't something that I've not done before, but obviously, if you put me in touch with what you want me to do, then I'd be fine with that. Yeah, I would feel better with that as well. Yeah.
Great. Councillor Conway, anything else from you? Just. Okay, so we go to points of final clarification now, and I would just like to kind of sum up what's been spoken about. So, Paul, you're willing to accept the conditions that the police have proposed?
Yeah.
The condition 9, all supply of alcohol for consumption on the premises shall be to seated customers, yeah, who are having a substantial meal from the menu.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're signing up to that. That's good. The other condition that we want to put in there is the one we've already discussed, which is this one. No alcohol will be sold for taking off the premises unless it's sold as part of a home delivery service.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. The other one is that you would have a designated SIA security person on the door on match days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Or maybe any other major sporting events.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd feel. Yeah.
And maybe, Amanda, you could maybe advise us, is one enough?
So I just want to add, because there's a Copper Box Arena opposite to the Copper Street Cafe, they basically have events every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So with Premier League running on the week, let's say Tuesday or Thursday, basically every day of the week, there's a major event. Nearly most of the day of the week, we'll have a major event in the area.
Yeah, I suppose the reason why we focused on West Ham was because the main thrust of you guys' concerns was the football fans. You know, I mean, I'm not sure if there's a way around, you know, trying to work out the events that take place at the Copper Box. You know, I mean, Paul, you wouldn't be able to have an SIA every day of the week, right? That just wouldn't be economically feasible.
No, you'd have to sort of use your intelligence. And
it would have to be assessed. I think it needs to be assessed.
Yeah.
And it needs to be at least 2 SIA, not 1, if you are going to.
Did you hear that, Paul? So it'd have to be 2.
Well, yeah. I mean, we're not the largest seated place here. You know, I'm happy to have 5, but the business has to survive. You know.
Yeah. And so, is that a legal requirement, Amanda? You've got to have 2.
Well, I suppose we could say up to 2 or something like that. Oh.
Yeah, maybe. And then the other one that I mentioned, that you've talked about the smoking and the outdoor space. You're pretty much within core hours at the moment. Our policy LP3 is in core hours, and if you're aware of that, Paul, but it basically it's Monday to Thursday 8 to 2300. And then Friday a bit longer, but it's good that you stay at 11 on those days, I think. And then Sunday it drops to 10:30. Would you be willing to go to 10:30 on a Sunday?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
So you basically be willing to do to 2300 and then 22:30 on a Sunday.
Yeah, no problem at all. Yeah, I want to work with everybody here. You know, I'm not working against. I'm working with you.
Okay. So any other points of clarification that anybody wants to make? Councillor Root, Councillor Conway, other persons, anybody? Okay, well, I think that's great. We could ask you, the participants now, being no further business for consideration, that you leave this meeting and we will consider it. Paul, you can get a decision by the phone tomorrow in writing within 5 working days.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone, for bringing.
Yeah. Thanks very much for your time. And thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
You know. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, fantastic. So we shall move on then to Garrett's German Donor, 127 Kingsland High Street. So I shall ask the licensing officer, please. In fact, let's just introduce the people we've got on the call, the participants for this one, so we know who's on this call. So Mahir.
Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, Chair and members. My name is Mahir Kilic. I will be representing Erdogan Garib. I'm currently traveling in Cyprus. My reception is not so good, so I will switch off my video.
So you're representing the applicant, yeah?
Chair, could I ask, is he
Correct.
driving? Because I think if he's driving, we really have to ask him to pull over.
Yeah, that's true. Good point.
I'm not driving. I've got a driver.
Oh, you've got a driver. Okay, that's right.
I'm not driving.
That's good news. Well, good
That's
point,
right then. You.
That was a very good point. Yeah, I don't want to cause an accident. Okay, so Maher, did you say you were going to be speaking on behalf of the applicant? Yeah. Is that right?
The premises is. Shall I begin?
No, I just want to clarify that you will be talking on behalf of the applicant. Is that correct? Okay, let's just leave you for a second. I've got Graham. Is it Graham Hopkins? Do you want to come in and introduce yourself, Graham?
Sorry, Chair. He's for the second item, for the third item.
Oh, he's for the third item. Sorry. Yeah, I've got all these names on my screen. Sinar, are you part of this one? Whoever's, put your hand up if you're part of this one. Oh, so Ison, right.
Yes.
Okay, and can you just introduce yourself, please?
Hi, this is Ayşen. I'm also the agent. I'll be translating for Mr. Toprak. He's the manager of the premises. He's right next to me, and I'll be just like helping him for translation.
Okay, and Hassan, you're one of the objectors, yeah?
Hi, Chair. Yes, I am actually in this conversation.
Okay. Excuse me if I'm missing it, if I miss some people. And Sinar, are you for this one as well, or are you for the other one? Is it Sinar? The chap with the beard. Well, there's two chaps with beards on there, but there's one called Sinar. Yeah, you're on mute. Can't hear
Sorry,
you.
Sinar is my son name. Is it? My name is Erdoğan Garip. I'm in the chat.
You're which
Chair,
one?
it is Mr. Garib is the applicant, Chair.
Okay. Sorry for the confusion. So let's just start with the licensing officer, please, to outline the report. Thank you, Suba.
Thank you, Chair. Licensing Service received an application for.
Hello, sorry, Chair. Can I just introduce myself?
Oh, you're for this one as well. Ah, sorry. Julian.
Yeah.
Apologies, Julian.
Not at all.
It's just
Many
about-
thanks. That'll do. Most grateful to you.
That's all right. Do you want to just quickly introduce yourself then?
Yeah, I'm just a resident making representations.
Okay. Thank you very much, Julian. That's great. Okay. And sorry for not seeing you there. It's just because I didn't see your photograph. Okay. So, Suba, can you outline the case, please?
Yeah. So Licensing Service received an application for the variation of premises license under Section 34 of the Licensing Act 2003 for Garib's German Doner Kebab, 127 Kingsland High Street, to extend the late night refreshment hours until 3 a.m. from Thursday to Saturday, as stated within the report. Representation still remains from the police, licensing, and other persons. I have nothing else to add. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I'd like to call for the applicant, whoever's going to represent the applicant, please, if they could come forward and with their case. Thank you. In support of your application. Is that going to be Mahir or Aysen?
It's going to be Mahir, I think.
Okay, Mahir, can you hear us? Obviously, because he's in Cyprus, he may not hear us. We'll just give him a couple of seconds. Mahir, can you hear us?
Right. Sorry, I got a cut off. Is it our turn, Chair?
Yes, we can hear you now. So you've got 5 minutes to basically present your case in support of your application. And remember, as an SBA, so you have to prove that you're not going to be adding to the cumulative impact in the area. Go ahead.
Sure. Chair, this, as you heard from the licensing officer, there's an application to extend the hours for late night refreshment. The premises is situated in the SPA zone in Kingsland High Street. I'm very familiar with the area. I used to have a restaurant right next to this shop, 123, 125 Kingsland High Street. The area, if you like, Chair, it has benefited late night venues and night economy pretty much quite live in Dawson, Kingsland area. The applicant has took over the business less than about 2 months ago when we made the application. The previous owner had told him that he has a license until 2-3 a.m. in the morning. As a result of purchase of this property, the license was transferred but was not received by the applicant, and he acted with the information that was given by the previous owner, and he remained open until 3 o'clock time to serve. So when we were appointed as a licensing agent, we made an application, first of all, to get a copy of a license. We immediately informed on 14th of April the applicant that he can only trade within the permitted hours which are on the license. From that date, he has not operated beyond his hours at all, obviously other than the temporary event notice applications. Yes, premises is situated in a SPA zone. As you know, Chair, devastating impact of the COVID on food and leisure industry is very clear. As the month
You've dropped out a bit there.
So can you hear me?
You can hear you now, yes.
I'm just I'll ask them to just stop the car so we have a good reception. I was saying, devastating impact of the COVID on the food and leisure industry is clear. As the months roll on, that the landscape for the Kingston High Street and even the rest of the Hackney Borough will now be different. Then Hackney licensing policy should also respond to that, we say. It is inevitable that the cumulative impact policy is still in existence and is based on the evidence from the COVID pandemic. And such, we anticipate that the future policy could be subject to further review during the course of 2022, as food impact of the pandemic on food sector is yet to be assessed. And the local authorities across England, Chair, and Wales are now deciding to remove the cumulative impact policies, as it felt that the priority of the pandemic was there. But as premises are now struggling, it appears that the need no longer exists. Furthermore, the ongoing disruption caused by the pandemic and significant disruption to the nighttime economy needs to be acknowledged, we say. The cumulative impact policy, which was adopted 2017 for the years 2018 and 2022, is kind of now statutory footing, and evidential requirements must be proven before such policy can be adopted. And the policy based on the evidence from the before COVID pandemic period. This is very, very important.
Well, thank you for making that point, Mahir. But our policy still stands at the moment. It's a
yes,
separate...
it does stand. But the policy, the reason for the policy being implemented are not there anymore. So it is questionable.
Yeah, well, that's a decision that the council need to make further down the line, but we're not there yet. You need to basically, you've got a minute left to essentially demonstrate that you will not add to the cumulative impact with these new hours.
Chair, the most important evidence before you is that from the 14th of April, the applicant had applied for temporary event notices, which allowed him to operate beyond his licensed hours from weekends until 2 a.m. in the morning. And he has consecutively has traded over 7 weeks and 3 days on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights. And there was no any impact, if you like, or any complaint was made to the local authorities for opening beyond with the temporary event notice beyond these hours.
But what are you going to do? What are you going to do to make sure that you will not add?
We will continue exactly what we will. Yeah, we will continue exactly what we are doing with the existing license conditions. We are not further, offering up any further conditions as there is no need. We already demonstrated within the last 7 weeks that we operated on 3 days, so 21 days on weekends, and there was no any noise or nuisance impact or crime and disorder issues related to our premises. So that is the evidence before you.
Okay, well that's fantastic. Thank you for that. So now I would like to call responsible authorities, and I presume licensing, David, if you want to come in, please.
Thank you, Chair. So the representation is in today's agenda at Appendix B2. This representation is made on the grounds of prevention of public nuisance. As you've heard, the application seeks to vary the premises license, which is in the Dalston Special Policy Area, which is an area which has been identified as suffering from cumulative impact as a result of concentration of licensed premises. It's still the case that it is a special policy area at the present time. So the basis of the representation is that potential negative impacts as a result of proposed additional activities, which are the provision of late night refreshment in this particular case. So these potential negative impacts could be things such as persons not dispersing and then leading to ASB and potentially crime and disorder in the area. It is, as you know, for the applicant to demonstrate that the proposed activity will not add to the cumulative impact. I did receive a response from the agent on the 14th of April, just mentioning some additional measures and making the same arguments that Mr. Kilic has made this afternoon. But I will leave it there for now, Chair, and it is really is a matter of whether the proposed activity would add to the cumulative impact or not.
Okay, thank you very much, David, for that. Could I call, please, PC Ryan next?
Thank you, Chair. Please understand that COVID has had a devastating effect on the hospitality industry. However, we have seen increasing numbers on the street in Hackney, particularly in Dalston. Police need to see some kind of policy placement or demonstration from the applicant as to how they're going to ensure that the later hours within the special policy area will not have a negative effect on the cumulative impact. The response to my representations I received from the applicant refers to the removal of the cumulative impact policy area, as Mr. Kilic has already referred to. And this may have happened elsewhere in the country, but it has not happened in Hackney as yet. And although the policy was written before the pandemic, we are seeing numbers rising, and we all look forward to the high street returning to normal. The ASB in Dalston has not gone away, and nor will it whilst there are so many licensed premises within a concentrated area. The 10s that have been used here, there has been 4 or 5, I think, but these were risk assessed by police based on the events and other temporary event notices that were operating in the area at the time. I also do acknowledge that the applicant has many years of experience in managing restaurants, but I'd like to hear more from him about that, what kind of restaurants they were, what type of area they were they in a busy nighttime economy area, how late were they open. But up to now, police have not seen anything that gives us confidence that longer hours in the special policy area will not contribute to existing problems. It simply does not suffice that just because other nearby premises have the longer hours that they should be granted them too. These licenses were granted a long time ago, and this application is being heard based on what is in Dalston today. I would just like to make mention of the basement as well, because this premises is split over 2 floors. And in the response to my representation, it was noted that the basement is apparently only used for events. So maybe the extension of hours wouldn't need to apply to the basement if it was being used for events, and that could be stopped at the time that alcohol currently finishes, which is actually already outside core hours. We have seen the premises operating over hours, as Mr. Kilic referred to, and it's not really good enough that because he was told that those were the hours, that those are the hours that he operated by. He should have done due diligence, and as a responsible operator, he should have read the licence, because that contains not only the operating hours and the licensable hours, but also the conditions to which the licence should be operated under. I don't have anything else at this time. Thank you, Chair.
Just PC Ryan, you did ask a few questions in your submission. Would both floors be open? You kind of addressed that. And then, will customers be able to sit in and eat until closing time, or will all food be taken away only after a specified time? And how many staff are on duty until closing time? Did you get answers to those questions?
Yes, it says there will be 3 staff working on the premises, and everything will be open. People will be able to sit in until closing.
Okay. And what about the floors? The different floors you mentioned?
Yeah, the response was that both floors would be open.
Yeah, because I think if we license the premises, David, I presume we license the premises, we can't split it into first floor and basement, for example. Is that right?
The license would apply to whatever's on the plan that accompanies the application.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Okay, great. Any points of clarification that you'd like to make, Councillor Root or Councillor Conway, just before we move on to other persons?
My only point of clarification really is what the police officer just raised, which is that it does seem to me pretty extraordinary that a licensee should not be familiar with the hours of their license, and indeed with everything that's on their license, given that they are legally responsible for making sure that they're compliant with their license. And I just would quite like to hear from the licensee about why they didn't know what was on their license.
Yep. Fair enough. Okay, Mahir, you will keep that in the back of your mind. I would like to invite Julian Izzo, please, to come forward and make your representation. Julian, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Many thanks. Okay, so we know this is in the spa area. It's surrounded by premises with alcohol entertainment licenses. It's completely wishful thinking of the applicant to suggest that this wouldn't apply and it would be irrelevant. Just shows a lack of contact with reality. The hours applied for repeat times for nuisance and crime in the area. I mean, that's very clear and obvious. I've got problems with nearby premises such as Dalston Superstore, which cause perennial problems with regular noise outbreaks and rowdy extended dispersals to kebab shops such as this. And there are several kebab shops in the area, including one directly opposite. So LP1 is relevant here in the terms of this premises doesn't add to the diversity of the offer. These premises at this hour will attract customers who are already disinhibited by having overconsumed alcohol and are desensitized to noise. And the premises is situated directly adjacent to a bus shelter, and the pavement is narrow and the shop is open fronted. Before COVID, the area was completely out of control. I mean, total bedlam. And the hospitality industry did very nicely out of the pandemic to the tune of many billions of pounds. The numbers on the streets are rising. I'm not looking forward to a return of total chaos. I can't quite understand why the police would be. The problem is that one of the problems is that the so-called nighttime economy was predicated on so-called infrastructure. I wondered what the hell that meant when I first heard that term, but essentially that means bodies on the street, people, responsible authorities. There's no visible presence to deter nuisance from on the streets anymore. There's no licensing enforcement. There's no police on the streets that are visible, at least. And there is only the noise service, which is worse than useless. And they haven't even bothered to make representations here today. The applicant has failed to follow a few simple rules. I didn't supply these photographs. They clearly show that the premises was being operated without a license and without a TEN, and that should be a red flag. And the licensee claims he didn't know his licensing hours. Well, I don't believe that for a moment. But if we take that at face value, clearly that's not the sort of licensee you want operating a premises at these hours. And finally, if you look at the conditions, I think it's condition 25, it says there should be a dispersal policy. That's not included in this application. So I don't know whether there is a dispersal policy, but you'd have thought that would be a relevant document for an application such as this. All in all, Mr. Chairman, this and the subcommittee, this just seems completely ridiculous application, and you should throw it out immediately. Many thanks.
Thank you very much for that, Julian. Can I bring in, I think it's Hassan. Hassan.
Good afternoon, Chair.
Hi
Good
there.
afternoon, everyone. I'd just like to introduce myself. My name's Hassan. As Gentleman Craig said, I'm one of the owners, the takeaway owners area, just right opposite the German Doner Kebab. And since they have been in the area, which after me, basically I'm less than a year in the area, so I'm not too familiar with the area. And I've just bought this business just over 7 months now. And after me, they decided to open this fish and chip shop to convert it into a German doner right opposite my shop. My shop has a history since 1977, and I wanted to carry on this history because this has a different implement in this, and also this premises was the only license in the special policy area till 5 a.m. But what I've done, plus the property I bought, it used to be with the seating area with 20 people. First thing I've done because of the area, I closed my seating area, no more seating, it's in and out only, just to stop the gatherings around. And I have dropped my time to 4 a.m. just on the weekends. Sometimes I try to close earlier. Weekdays, strictly, it will be 2 a.m. I would like to say that the German Doner Kebab owners, they, as you guys mentioned, I think they don't know what the licensing hours are. It's just so simple that they can email the local council and get the information, which I've did as well. Weekdays till 12, Friday, Saturday, maximum 1 a.m. trading hours. But they have breached the rules and the law by opening till 2 to 3 a.m. in the morning with less staff, seating in. So which does seating means gathering so many friends and people in the bars and clubs and making big noises in the area, which is I try to prevent that and just try to take people out. And because it's summer at the moment, I'm planning even to put a security at my door just to stop the gatherings around that weekends, just to keep on people moving on. But which of these people done is, one, they're breaching their hours, 2 to 3 hours every weekend, plus weekdays as well, about an hour or so. Plus their shutters, what the cleverest thing they think they do is they close the shutters halfway through, they put one guy at the door, and they're still trading like that. They're thinking, okay, no one's going to understand. But the local officers, warden officers that walk in the area, they have even saw this, they have took the evidence. I have the evidence as well, which I've provided before. And the other officers for the late night trading hours, the officers who walk in the area, they are also witnessed which time these people close. Plus, the late night officers, they went into the premises 3 times that I saw, I don't know if it's more, 3 times that I have catched, to told them to close the premises down, because it's not inside the licensing hours, which shows that they were doing something wrong. And
okay, you got 1 minute and a half left.
Oh, sorry. Basically, the last thing then, let me go to a deeper conversation, because as the other reps told that there was all bins, litters, because it's in front of a bus stop. It's a communal area. They make loud gatherings, loud noises. No one's telling them to keep on going on moving. So that's another point as well, Chair. The main issue right now, it's coming up that this owners, as PC Ryan said, that the premises is double unit, it's 1 basement and the ground floor. Basement they'll be giving out to let right now, subleasing it as a Turkish cafe, which is undergoing, I believe they're just designing or constructing it. which Turkish cafes all the councils is and the councillors and everyone is local with that. There's no Turkish cafes, but they'll open a Turkish cafe under gambling store. So I would just love to just tell you this and just not warn you, but just to let you guys know about this in my notes. So yeah, thank you for your time, everyone.
Thank you very much, Hassan. Are there any other persons there? I wasn't clear before who Sinar was, if you're part of the applicant or who you are. Can you just unmute yourself and tell us who you are?
Mr. Sinar, who appears with the name of Mrs. Nais.
He's part of your team, yeah?
Hussein Garib, he's the applicant.
Right. I got you. Thank you. Okay. Point of clarification, please. Councillor Root and Councillor Conway. Any points of clarification before we move into the discussion? No? I've written down in my notes, I think it's either David or PC Ryan, the applicant was invited to make further submissions to address concerns. Did he actually make further submissions or not?
Chair, I received an email on the 14th of April, I think it was, just setting out some points and raising the issue about the time since the special policy area evidence base was prepared.
And were you satisfied with that submission or not?
Well, it's still a policy approach, isn't it, that we have? So, I mean, the applicant's agent was raising some points there, some valid points. So, but it's all for discussion today.
Okay, so let's go to the discussion phase, and I will open the floor with Councillor Root and Councillor Conway, whichever one of you wants to come in first.
Councillor Conway, go on. I always seem to go first.
Thank you. I wanted to ask Mr. Killick if he wanted to expand upon why the applicant has not included a dispersal policy, just bearing in mind that looking at the photographs that have been attached, it's quite clear that, you know, many of them show people congregating outside the premises, and we do know that this is the type of thing that the SPA is attempting to guard against, is people hanging around in which people forget, you know, a residential area. So, you know, is it recognised by the applicant that, you know, it's not helpful to have lots of people hanging around on the pavement of a late evening? And what can be done? How would the applicant intend to ensure that that wasn't the case and that people were just in and out with the orders?
Did you hear that, Mahir? Hello?
I'd like to make something very clear. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
can you hear me? Yeah. First of all, let me make something very clear. This is an application for a variation of existing premises license, and it only applies to the late night refreshment part. We are not here asking to extend the alcohol, and the basement area is not subject to this application. The application only deals with the ground floor, which is a restaurant and takeaway. You will see on the plans that it has over 60 seating capacity inside the premises. So that is that. And also, we are not here to discuss punishment or, you know, why he has operated beyond his.
We lost you again.
As I've already explained, this application, and we are here today to consider, as I stated, the applicant when he was told by us, because there are emails that was sent to the licensing team, asking, there was a period where Hackney Council's website hacked, and we couldn't extract any details from the website. I remember that. And we asked we sent several emails to the licensing team. Then we made the transfer application to these individuals, or it was made by a previous agent. I may be wrong, but when we asked to get a copy of the license, as soon as we received it, we've told the applicant and we informed the licensing authority from that day onwards, which is 14th of April, applicant did comply with the conditions and the hours he is permitted. So if there are any discussions that the object is talking about, well, he opened his shop beyond the hours, he caused this, he caused that, that could be a prosecution matter for the local authority or responsible authorities. But what we can say, from the date we informed, he acted as a responsible manager, and from the 14th of April, he never ever traded beyond the permitted hours. And I already stated that when he had the temporary vendor's applications, he has successfully demonstrated that he can run his shop during the permitted hours given on the temporary vendor, which was until 2 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, Mahir, can I just stop there a second? 1 second. But you haven't
Sure.
answered Councillor Conway's question about the dispersal policy. Can you answer that? How are you going to deal with that?
We are happy. I can email right now or share it on this group, a dispersal policy. And dispersal policy can be, we've got loads of, similar templates that we use for those scenario, which we can condition, which you can condition subject to the agreement with the licensing authority and police licensing team. Dispersal policy will be implemented. And we are very confident that the dispersal part and making sure our customers won't cause any disturbance to our neighboring residents, we will have the correct structure for the dispersal policy, which will be subject to approval of the police and the licensing team.
Okay, Councillor Root.
Yeah, I suppose my questions really are about communication here, which is sort of exemplified by the fact that we're struggling to understand exactly what the premises agent is trying to tell us. Communication is obviously key to running an effective business, particularly one that operates in such a busy area which has nighttime economy, social order problems. And I'm not seeing very much here, whether it be in terms of reading and being familiar with the license or preparing us with a dispersal policy in advance, or indeed making effective representations today, which is giving me any confidence with communication. I'm sorry, but I wonder if you've got anything to say to that.
Mahir?
Early March, and applicant is so looking forward to get this license granted, because it's very vital. If he doesn't get the license, he will close his shop. So about 6 other individuals will be basically unemployed. So the applicant has been so, because there was a local election, so on, obviously the licensing authority couldn't schedule any meeting. We have been patiently waiting for this day, and your own local knowledge, without giving us prior in writing, is, I say, irrelevant. You can bring obviously your local knowledge, and I can bring my local knowledge, but I do know that as the fact that the person who was earlier making a statement, Julian, is the one who lives just like 30 meters away from premises, and he is a regular objector to any of each application. And Mr. Hassan Aksu, likewise, has been asking local residents to make a representation for these premises. Now we are surrounded by licensed premises all around us, and we are talking about licensing late night refreshment, not an alcohol, in a seated restaurant area. The communication, I may sound a bit harsh, but my harshness is nothing to do with the applicant's views. I believe he has been very reasonably communicating with the licensing team and police. You are just here to probably you just had about 40 minutes of what we have discussed, and that will be very prejudiced you to say well, applicant is not communicating with us properly. The dispersal policy that you mentioned is, like I said, we are doing this every day and night. Like, it will be something satisfactory to the police and the licensing team. And you got no environmental health objection to this application, so the noise team. And dispersal policy, I say, comes under the public nuisance, and there is no one as a professional responsible authority presenting or making an objection. Yes, we can talk generally about what is going on in the area, but this premises is a new premises. Previously, it was a fish and chip shop. It was nothing to do with the current owner. The current owner took the premises in early January this year, and he has converted the premises to German Döner. The applicant's brother is from Germany, and he does the German Döner also in Germany, Düsseldorf. He is bringing his own local, kind of taste, whatever you may call it, to those area. And the hours, I already addressed you on the hours, and the need should not be something that you will be considering on the license applications.
Could I just come in with this a quick supplementary, really, which is that one of the issues around the special policy area is that if you're applying for anything outside of the core hours, you really have to show that you're not going to add to cumulative impact. And in the case here at the moment of somewhere which isn't trying to sell any more alcohol, the cumulative impact really is and consists of people hanging around to eat. That is the cumulative impact, and therefore I think the dispersal policy is absolutely essential to you making a case to be able to have this license, and to not have sent that in advance seems to me a very significant flaw, I'm afraid.
You want to come back, Mahir? Bearing in mind, we are 2 minutes over the 15 minutes.
This is very important. Let's compare Mr. Aksus, who's here present. He told us he recently bought the premises across the road, which has very limited space to sit, and people always queues up outdoor. Obviously, each application considers on its own merits. We have, I say, over 60 chairs in our premises, so we will definitely control individuals leaving the premises. Yes, we have a bus stop right in front of our premises, where inevitably we will have people right outside our shop, because there is a bus stop. We can't change that fact. And in fact, it's a junction. Remember, we are located on Dalston Crossroad Junction. So it is, we have nightclub or a large venue called Earth now. Yes, we got Dawson Superstore. We can communicate with those individuals and perhaps employ one extra door staff after 11 o'clock in the evenings to ensure that those staff can liaise with the other premises security staff to ensure this, dispersal policy can be implemented. Other than that, I can't say much about the dispersal policy.
Okay, well, Councillor Root made her point very well about that. Suba, do you want to come in quickly?
Yes, Chair, it's just for a clarification. According to our records, the premises license was transferred to Erdogan Cafe back in May 2021, and the document was emailed in June 2021.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, I think we shall move to closing remarks now, if that's okay with everyone. I think we've had a decent discussion around this. So can I please invite well, David, you want to come back to closing remarks? How does that all make you feel?
So I don't know if it's just me getting some interference here, but
Yeah, I think maybe if you can mute your mic, Matthew, that'd be good. Thank you.
okay, I'll just yeah. So obviously the representation still stands. The premises is within the Dalston Special Policy Area, so so it is for the applicant to demonstrate, as we've heard. A bit confusion about when the license did actually transfer to Mr. Garrett. I did believe it was earlier than this year, so as Suba's confirmed, that was the case. There were allegations of operation beyond those hours, but those are already allegations at this stage. So I think with that, maybe with a lack of a dispersal policy or clarity around how customers will be dispersed, I do have concerns.
Okay, so that last bit in your submission, that your sort of doubts still remain really about the licensing.
That's correct.
Willingness to comply with the current authorization. Yeah.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much. Okay, so PC Ryan, do you want to come back, please?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Similar to David, really, that is within the SPA, and it already has hours that are later than the core hours. And we've not heard anything from the applicant today that demonstrates to us that they will not add to cumulative impact. Just like to add that the application was not clear. The application came as a whole, and the basement is included in on that license on the plan. So if there was any adjustment to the license today, then that would need to be specifically to the ground floor, as Mr. Killich adhered to. Mr. Killich also mentioned that it was a seated restaurant area, which is news to me. I thought it was just going to be a takeaway and restaurant, but if it's just seated restaurant, then that's different again. But my position still stands, and we respectfully request a refusal. Thank you.
Please. Okay, Mahir, do you want to just clarify that point about the seating? Because the police
yes, the premises is largely seating. It has a largely seating area. It is applicants wish to operate after like midnight, primarily as a mixed restaurant and takeaway use. So they have a large seating area where customers actually can buy their food and consume at the premises, not on the streets, and they can leave the premises quietly. I can also extend some conditions in relation to dispersal policy, if I may. Would you like me to?
Let's come back to that in a minute in your closing remarks, Mahir, if that's all right. I want to invite the other persons now to come in. Julian Izu, do you want to come back in with some closing remarks, please?
Yeah, it's 2 hours of my life, Mr. Chairman. I'm never going to get back. Real fast, this one. It seems to be lost on the applicant and his agent that that this dispersal policy is already a condition, and there should be a dispersal policy available now and in operation. Quite how this has escaped the licensee and his agent, I don't quite know. All I can say is that kebab shops in the area are a nuisance, not inherently, well, can be inherently, of course, because they can be. I mean, the big problem is the cumulative impact in so much as the customers turn up, they're already drunk. And effectively, anyone who is running a kebab shop really needs to be on the ball to be able to manage these drunken customers and make sure they don't cause any nuisance. And I can't say any kebab shops in the area actually really do that properly. it's not an easy thing to do. These people are already really drunk and they're already desensitized to noise. This is why there is a cumulative impact policy in place. These people need to go home and sleep it off. Other than that, I can't think anything of merit at all in this application. And it's really been put together really badly, and I don't think there really is anything much else to say, other than, of course, please refuse it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Julian, for that. And if I could bring in Hassan now, if you want to just make some closing remarks, Hassan. Thank you.
Chair. A minute ago, Mr. Click said that I had a small seating area in my restaurant. No, I would like to make this clear. I've got no seating area at all in my premises. And also, Mr. May said that there was no nuisance being made to the council, saying that, oh yes, last 4 weeks, 5 weeks, there was no problem. But how does he know? Does he make an application to know that or anything? And thirdly, this premises is been breaching the rules throughout weeks and months now. Who is giving the guarantee once they've got the trading hours till 3 o'clock in the morning? Who is giving the guarantee to me that he's not going to breach again to open till 5, because he's going to think that, okay, no council workers at this time, no officers walking up and down, no police. Who's going to give the guarantee that they will be opening till 5 a.m.? So let's say thank you. That's my last word.
Thank you very much, Hassan. Okay, so we've got the applicant, I think, finally. So Mahir, do you want to come in with a couple of minutes just to cite your case again?
Sure. I will start with Hassan's representation or summing up. The applicant has already demonstrated that he can obey the rules since 14th of April. The premises is closed right on time, except the temporary event notices when the temporary event notices were in place. And when the temporary event notices were in place, he demonstrated that he can successfully manage the premises without cause of concern to any of the licensing objectives. So that is the evidence before you. And dispersal policy, my colleague just messaged me the existing dispersal policy, which I can, I tried to share it on WhatsApp to this group, but I couldn't do it. I can read out quickly if you want me to. It's 6 pages dispersal policy already in place. To be just quick, I'll just pick up some of the points. After 10 p.m., there will be no seating outside the premises, because they got a seating area within their premises, and their shop front is about 1.5 meters inside. And the smoking area should be cleaned up regularly and ashtrays clean. Customers should be reminded to respect our neighbors and keep conversations to a minimum. And the staff on duty shall keep a log of any person causing disturbance or nuisance, whether that person is a customer or not. So there are, it goes on and on and on, and it is already in place. And we can see that dispersal policy did work during the temporary event notice dates, which were granted by Hackney Council. And like I said earlier, the premises, the application is only for late night refreshment. We are not talking about the extending alcohol hours. And we are happy to propose, as I said earlier, SIA those stuff, one SIA those stuff after 11 p.m. to ensure that the dispersal dispersal policy can be actually enforced by the owner of the premises or the applicant.
Sorry, Mahir, is that an SIA?
Signs and notices shall be,
Is that an SIA?
SIA those stuff.
From Thursday to Sunday?
SIA registered those stuff.
Yeah,
correct.
From when till when?
Thursday to Sunday can be employed from 11 till close time.
Yeah, that would be from Thursday to Sunday. Yeah.
Yes, in effect early hours in the morning of Sunday.
Okay.
So in effect, the SAO staff will enforce the dispersal policy. That will be the only role of SAO staff. It's not going to be somebody employed from the premises who will be going outside the door. It will be a completely, external SAA staff to be employed at the premises, who will liaise with venues like Dawson Superstore, which made Dawson a lot, a contribution, I say, and the premises Earth. So we will liaise with those businesses, and we will also liaise with our neighbors. Hey, you should not give any weight to the objection made by the owner of the kebab shop across the road, because his pure interest is obviously financial. There is a competition, which we understand.
Okay. Okay.
And he has made, we've got evidence, he has made several contacts with local residents to object to these applications, sorry. Do you want me to go on, or shall I stop?
No, I think that's fine, Mahir. Thank you for that. And I just want to bring Hassan in very quickly. Hassan, you got 30 seconds.
Chair, as Mr. Mahir said, that he is on his paragraphs that after 10 p.m. that there will no be seating outside, but which is clearly that his own clientele does not know that. And he, on the pictures, that you can clearly see that there is people sitting outside eating or smoking at 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. So this is clearly. Secondly, yes, it is financially, because since they have opened illegally and breaching the hours, my financial income has dropped, and that's the reason I had to get rid of 4 of my team members, and they are jobless right now. This is the main point. I will be fighting for this.
Okay, thank you, Hassan. Mahir, you got 30 seconds.
Thank you.
Yes, you've heard yourself. I don't need to say more. But the incident is before the 14th of April, before we actually got involved and informed the applicant about what he should be doing, what is his permitted hours are. So you've not seen anything after 14th of April.
Okay.
From 14th of April, it's licensing is about all going forward, how we can promote licensing objectives. But for the past, whatever happened, is happened. We can't change it. And if there is an enforcement action by the local authority, that can be dealt with. This committee is not here to punish the applicant for what mistake he has done in the past.
Okay, thank you for that, Mahir. I'd like to move now to closing remarks. If anyone's up to clarification, points of clarification, please, from Councillor Root or Conway.
Chair, I just wondered if it would be helpful for us to be mentioning that even if the applicant is able to demonstrate to us how they're able to stick within the special policy agreement objectives, that that would still mean that the expectation would be that they wouldn't be able to operate outside of core hours anyway. So yeah.
Do you understand that? Does everyone understand that? If you can demonstrate, core hours will apply if you demonstrate that you will not add that they will not add to the cumulative impact. So in other words, you're doing quite well at the moment as it stands, actually, within our policy. I'd just like to make that point. I think that's the point you were trying to make, Councillor Conway.
Yeah.
Councillor Root, would you like to come back with anything? Any points of clarification that you'd like?
No, I'm all good, thanks.
Brilliant. Okay, so I'd like to. There's no further business to be considered here for this particular application. So if I could ask the participants to sign off, and thank you very much for your participation and putting your views forward. And you shall get a decision by phone tomorrow, a written decision within 5 working days. So thank you everyone for your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair and members. Greetings from Cyprus.
Okay, take care. Drive safe.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Okay, now we were going to take a break, folks. Sina, you need to sign off. Brilliant. We were going to take a break, I'm afraid, Mr. Hopkins, to discuss those two, because Councillor Conway can't be on the third one, which is yours. So apologies for that. Same with Kerry. So apologies. Maybe just have a little break in the meantime whilst we discuss this. We will move into another room and we'll come back to this meeting. We'll try and get back here as quick as we can. So yeah, sorry.
No problem.
Thank you. Cheers. So if we all shift back into the pre-meet room, that'd be great.
Sorry, Chair, you're on mute.
Oh, thank you. I was just saying, yeah, we're back. And thank you to everyone for your patience. I know it's difficult, but yeah, thank you everyone for sticking with us on this one. When we get Amanda back, we shall get on with the next one in the session, which is the original PFC 305 Mare Street. I was just waiting for Amanda. Sorry, Graham. Sorry, it's been a long day for you doing nothing, hasn't it?
Thank you very much for your patience, actually. It's
yeah, it's much appreciated. Okay, we'll just wait for Amanda. Is PC Ryan on the call? PC Ryan, are you still there?
Still here.
Yeah, sorry. Thanks for your patience. I know you want to go off and make dinner or whatever. I do. I'm getting hungry now. So Amanda should be with us soon. She's just making a very quick call and she'll be with us. And then we'll crack on with it. I want to try and get through this one fast because we've been on the call for a long time. So, I mean, and fast and fair, obviously. So we've had to leave. Councillor Conway's had to leave because this isn't her ward. So that's why there's only two of us now. Thank you, Mario, our technician, IT technician. Thank you. Oh, here she is. Oh, brilliant. Yeah, you're on mute, Amanda.
Apologies for keeping you.
Oh, that's all right. Thank you, Mary. Okay, so let's crack on with this, folks, and let's be as disciplined as we can. So, can I call the licensing officer, please, to outline the report? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So the third item we are going to consider this evening is for a premises license under Section 17 of the Licensing Act 2003 for original PFC 305 Mare Street for the provision of late night refreshment as stated within the report. Representation remains from the police. The applicant has submitted additional information which has been circulated. I have nothing else to add. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. And if the applicant, if you could present your case, Graham, Mr. Hopkins. Thank you very much. You have 5 minutes, Mr. Hopkins. Graham, could you just go through this? So Monday to Wednesday, what the time? Yep. Okay.
Sunday. Sunday. Okay.
Sunday to Wednesday. Okay, cool. Were those who were they agreed with? The police, were they all? Right. Right. Mr. Hopkins, can I just bring in PC Ryan very, very briefly? Thank you.
Apologies, I can't hear anything. I can't hear Graham at all.
You and I can hear as well.
That's strange. Can everyone else hear him? We're just having problems.
I can hear him. Yeah.
Can you hear him at all now, PC Ryan?
No.
No.
It might be an idea for you to log out and log back in again.
Yeah, I'll join back.
Why don't you log out and we'll wait for you, and then come back in. And then Graham, if you just hold off for a minute.
Mario. I wonder if Mario's got any tips as the technical person.
I was going to suggest what Councillor Smith suggested.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so PC Ryan, why don't you log out? I mean, hit the red button and come back on. Let's hope we can get the connection. So try now, Graham.
Perfect.
Brilliant. So we're waiting for somebody else, are we?
Suba, I think.
Yeah.
We all switch it on and switch it off again, switch it off and switch it on again technique.
Yeah, it often works, doesn't it? We'll get Suba back. Can you hear okay, Amanda? Yeah. Looks like Suba's having problems getting back in. Amanda, can you ring her and find out what's going on? Oh, here she is. Here she is. Suba, can you hear Mr. Hopkins? Right. Everyone can hear. Brilliant. Carry on, Graham.
Which also show the cameras. And I understand when he met PC Griggs, she was happy with the CCTV system, which meets the Met standards, and he's agreed their conditions regarding the CCTV. Obviously, the shop's not located in the CIZ. We've got steps to prevent alcohol being taken into the premises or consumed on the premises, given that there are a number of licensed premises, public houses in that area. They're not asking for an alcohol license, that goes without saying. So the presence of the shop per se will not lead to an increase in the levels of intoxication in the area. Rather, we would say it reduces people's intoxication if they're eating a meal in the shop or even buying one to take home. There's been no complaints or incidents in respect of the shop, the restaurant, since Mr. Ahmed took it over last year. Nothing raised by any of the responsible authorities. In fact, no other RA has objected, including the licensing service or environmental health. No residents have made an objection either, which I think is quite important, given it's the residents above the nearby shops or behind in the residential streets that would be impacted by noise, ASB, etc. We did engage with PC Ryan at an early stage. All the documents were sent to her, and my last contact with PC Griggs, I beg your pardon, was last Friday, when she said she wanted us to consider another reduction in hours. The reason we haven't done that is because Mr. Ahmed is asking you for this license because he's taken on the new shop post-COVID. As has already been identified, hospitality was hit. He needs the hours to make the premises viable. We're looking at a premises here in stiff competition from a number of other local shops. Rent and rates amounting to 44,000 a year. I appreciate you can't take that into account, but that's the background against which he's asking for the extended hours. There is a customer demand. We've got people, you'll appreciate London does run late.
30 seconds.
Right. He needs the license for the viability of the shop. Basically, you've heard the basic details of it and the reason we're asking for it. I would ask you to consider that he is a responsible operator, no complaints, comprehensive conditions, submitted his dispersal policy to prevent people hanging around, got the ongoing risk assessment to identify a need for door supervisors, and we'd ask you to grant the license. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hopkins. Okay, PC Ryan, and I'd like you just to address the questions that you stated in your statement. If you've got answers to all of them, please can you clarify the number of people you can seat in the venue, plan layout of the premises if you had all that, clarify what food you'll be selling, which I think is going to be chicken primarily, and I think the CCTV stuff, I believe, is pretty much covered from looking at all those pictures in there. So off you go, 5 minutes.
I won't need 5 minutes, hopefully. Apologies on behalf of PC Griggs. She's dealt with this application but was unable to attend today, so I will be delivering it on her behalf. We've brought this application to committee purely on hours, as they're way in excess of policy core hours. This particular stretch of premises on Mare Street contains several other licensed premises, most of which are late night eateries, and they all operate until the early hours of the morning. And although I can appreciate the business needs to operate to similar hours to compete with their neighbours, police are concerned that they will also encourage additional customers to loiter outside, most of, if not all of, whom would have consumed varying amounts of alcohol, and of course then lead to ASB and some disorder. Yes, the applicant has, so Amanda has looked at CCTV. I believe she's happy with that. Capacity 28, as Mr. Hopkins just confirmed. I think the only thing I wanted to hear a little bit more about, we've got the plan, and the only thing I wanted to know a bit more about is they describe themselves as a family-friendly restaurant, yet want hours till 3 a.m. and that they will be serving a healthier option. So that's just something that I wanted to explore, which would be different to the other vendors in the area. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, and just very quickly, PC Ryan, the reduction in hours, how does that feel from your point of view?
They're still way in excess of core hours, so we would still like to see more of a reduction.
Okay. Because before you said that you will not agree to the proposed hours. I mean, not in capitals. Is that not now in small letters or still in capitals?
It's still capital, I'd say.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Hopkins, do you want to come back on some of those points that PC Ryan just made?
Well, I think if I address the hours first, Chair, that with the reductions, given that the shop 2 doors away has got 4 o'clock Friday and Saturdays, we would be still an hour less than that. So I would argue that they'd actually be attracting the people to the area Friday and Saturday in particular, rather than Mr. Armige's shop. Yes, he sells burgers, he sells chicken,
Salad.
and a lot of salad with it. So it's family friendly in the sense that they welcome families with children, although of course you'll see from the conditions we won't be having children there certainly on their own after 11 o'clock. That's not allowed, and they are aware of the waive and ask Angela policies, etc., to deal with vulnerable people and vulnerable children and women. So we feel that overall with the reduction in hours and the shop later already got a later license, that Mr. Armage has taken reasonable steps to respond to the police concerns. He hasn't ignored them. He's taken them on board and demonstrated responsibility by cutting his hours. Sufficient staff there to cope with people, not keep them hanging around. Somebody on the door to move them away from the area. We feel we've addressed those concerns. That's our position.
Okay, I think we just naturally entered this kind of discussion phase. There were no other persons that objected to this, so we're sort of in the discussion phase. Councillor Root, would you like to come in now with some of your observations?
Yeah, I've got a question for PC Ryan, which is really that in my experience on licensing committee, if there's a really genuine, significant threat of serious ASB, it isn't only the police who are objecting. There are generally local people as well who have piled in to say, no, this can't happen. And I do see that, they've reduced the hours. So I can't really see, unless this is going to be the best chicken joint in London, so it's people from everywhere, I can't really see how it's going to make such a massive difference to the numbers of people hanging out there and what have you. And as Graham said, it's, they have reduced the hours, which I think shows a certain amount of willingness to meet you halfway. And they've done, I think, really quite well on the additional conditions that they're putting forward too. So, I think you've got to say more than just, well, they're open, it's another shop, there will be more people, to convince me that this is going to be a serious additional threat of ASB in the area.
Okay, PC Ryan, do you want to come back on this, because you're the one that's still got the capital letters?
Yeah, we do welcome the extra conditions, and it does allay some of our concerns. It is an area that does tend to that groups do gravitate towards because of the stretch of late night eateries. But that's why we've brought it to committee. I mean, because it's outside of core hours, and we do see a potential of an increase in ASB and disorder, and that's why we brought it before you today.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I've got one point of clarification I'd like to make. You mentioned the closing hours, which seem to be about an hour later than the hours that you're kind of trading for, if that makes sense. Is that for the deliveries? Is that what you said, Mr. Hopkins?
No, Chair. The closing times will be the same as the terminal hours.
Okay.
That's why we brought in the earlier last order times. Half an hour for diners in and 15 minutes before the terminal hour, whatever terminal hour you impose, for collections and deliveries. So we're giving them a time to get their order and clear off by the terminal hour.
So can I ask you if your client would accept sort of closing at 2 on Sunday to Wednesday, closing at 3 Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but finishing up at 2:30 kind of thing, trading? So you have half an hour.
Are we talking about dining in, Chair, or across the board?
Across the board.
Would you finish serving at 2:30 on a Friday and Saturday?
2:30.
To stop selling, but close the shop at 3.
Close.
Yes, they will, Chair.
Okay. Do you want to note that, Amanda and Suba? Yeah. So what we're saying is then Sunday to Wednesday you trade until 1:30. Thursday, Friday, Saturday you trade until 2:30. Shut at 3. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Sorry, Chair.
agreeable.
Sorry, Chair. Can you just bear with me a moment, please? I need to.
PC Ryan, have we reduced the capital letters a bit there?
Yeah, so I can see that the applicant is making every effort.
Right. Sorry, Chair. Could you just go through that again, please? The hours.
Okay, so Sunday to Wednesday, trading until 1:30, closing at 2. Thursday, Friday,
Okay.
Saturday, trading until 2:30, closing at 3.
Or was it Thursday to Saturday? Was it?
Thursday to Saturday, yeah. Trading till 2:30, closing at 3. Councillor Root, how does that make you feel?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty comfortable about this application actually.
Okay, great, fantastic. Okay, PC Ryan, do you want to come back a little bit? Do you have anything else to say? I think we've almost reached a conclusion here.
Yeah, no, I don't think we have anything further. Thank you.
Brilliant. That's great. Okay, so I'll just
Can we just clarify with PC Ryan? Does that mean that you're withdrawing your objections?
No, Councillor, but I'm going to leave it in your capable hands.
Cough out.
So I'll just say closing remarks, Mr. Hopkins and PC Ryan, just for like 10 seconds.
I'll let PC Ryan go first.
I have nothing further. You carry on.
Okay.
Graham.
Thank you.
Right. Very quickly, Chair, I think the compromise hours you proposed are more than acceptable to my clients, and thank you very much.
Great, brilliant. Okay, well, I think there's no further business. So if I could ask you to leave, and thank you very much for being patient earlier on. Much appreciated, and we'll see you again in the future. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye, Kerry.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
I'll work out how to get out of this.